been thinking about reach back this morning. I've been thinking about the last thing that worked, or the thing that is still solid, or the thing that you refer to. Been thinking about that. When we stretch back to the things in our lives that we know are stable, or we borrow from someone else who has a stable thing, we reach back to it. We think about the ideal, and often a romanticized past, but there's an earnestness to reach back to something solid. And I don't think it is invalid to do so, even though it is often I think people who won't make the sacrifice of the things between themselves and the thing they ought to reach back for discourage others from reaching back. And it's easy to judge the past for its failures and ignore its successes because you don't see the other failures it let go. Hello, I am Sally Jo Michelson Cooper. Welcome to the edge of my mind. Let's jump off. So this reach back subject comes to me as I continue the ongoing renovations on my little place. And yesterday I peeled out a giant piece of heinous plastic from beside a tub, and I'm very excited about this because where that plastic was, tile will be, and it's gonna be beautiful. And I live already with this tile in my mind of like, oh, I've got the pieces from the sample tiles and I'll put them together and I'll lean into the greens, and or what do I have that complements greens, because I don't think I have any. I'm already there. I'm like, this wall is tiled in my mind, and I peel this plastic off. Mold. So we gotta go back. We gotta go back down. We gotta take that piece off. It's not a lot. It's a small piece. It can be completely removed. It's great. It's great that I took the hit of this plastic off, didn't just resurface the plastic and move on, because there were two little horror spots that had started a little section. And so now we have to deal with that, and we have to deal with it in another little spot. And if we get that dealt with, everything will be better because we've reached back past the corruption. And then things went off in my head because that's what we're doing. This is like, let's reach back past the corruption in like 100 things. And man, I was thinking about 5 years after, no, it wasn't even 5 years. It was 3 years after I had been in one of my occupations, I decided to reach back to the familiar, like the most recently familiar thing that had been working. And I found Jocko Willink, and I watched a whole bunch of his videos, and I got the Discipline Equals Freedom, and everything he went over, it's not like I didn't know it. It's that I needed to reach back to those old places in my mind And I think that's what Peterson does too. Maybe not for everybody, because it's one thing to know you can reach back. I think it's another thing to be able to see where to or how, maybe. Like yesterday, I didn't know that I was going to go back to studs. I thought I was just going to go 1 layer back. Well, I got to go 2 layers back. Actually, there should have been 3 layers, so that's really why I got to go 2 layers back. You're a jerk. This little house gremlin is Daniel Boone, and he's a little aggressively cuddly. So yeah, reaching back, and I've reached back a lot, and I've always, but maybe like in a hoardery kind of way, because like I like to just find out about things that I should do, and then implementing has always been a bit of a struggle. So that's something I'm doing with my family history, with long-term family problems, or at least the physical manifestations of them thereof. I'm reaching back, and it's good. And I think if you have that itch and you know there's something that you should reach back to, that could be the first thing you should do. Either decide to do it or decide to not do it. Because I think it's really good for you. And reaching back to health, reaching back to cleanliness, that old Victorian clean equals health like thing. It's like, yeah, they reached back because they were ill. Like reaching back to the basics. There's nothing wrong with that. And just purging out all the habits that aren't serving you. Nothing wrong with that. And the West is especially guilty, or well, maybe not the West, but cowboys are especially guilty. We are guilty of romanticizing the pioneer days and like a certain era that got depicted by Hollywood, maybe a little much. But there is something to it. And being the pilgrim with the garden and the Bible, well, maybe they also had a gambling problem, but just reach back to what's good and pick that up. And we can. You really, really can. It is attainable. And I hope you can think back to those things for yourself. I think anywhere there is a family connection that's worthwhile that you can make good of, don't disregard it because, oh, it doesn't fit my perfect plan of the future. Well, that's your foundation. And you don't get to escape it being your foundation. You don't have to be limited to it. But good goddamn, we gotta care for our foundations. Hope you're taking care of yourself out there, because we need you.